Now that Star Wars Outlaws has been out for about a week or two, it is pretty clear that Ubisoft is now fully focused on Assassin's Creed Shadows. In fact, expect quite a decent amount of Shadows information, news, snippets and whatnot being released by Ubisoft sporadically. Now, I want to talk about some interesting things that have come out regarding Shadows, such as assassin recruits returning, double assassinations returning, and towards the end of the video, I want to discuss why I think Shadows really needs to succeed for Ubisoft, otherwise the company could be in serious trouble, and that's not even sugarcoating it. So with that said, let's get right into it. Now, just a few hours ago, Ubisoft surprised us with a new post on their Twitter and Instagram. Out of nowhere, on a Thursday evening, they shared a picture with the caption, "Call your shinobi recruits for support in combat. Strike together for the League." First off, League? What is this, the Justice League? That's a pretty random name for a brotherhood. But the main point here is the image showing Naoe in combat against a brute enemy and a swordsman, with two shinobi recruits sneaking up to attack. So yeah, it's pretty evident that assassin recruits are making a return. Now, I don't know about you, but when I think of assassin recruits, I think of AC3, which in my opinion handled them quite well. However, don't assume the exact same recruit system from Assassin's Creed 3 will return. We've seen different interpretations of assassin recruits throughout the series: Brotherhood, Revelations, Assassin's Creed 3, Syndicate, Odyssey, and even Valhalla. Based on this image alone, it's hard to tell what direction Ubisoft is taking, especially in this unpredictable era for Assassin's Creed games. I hope the recruit system in Shadows is similar or will be similar to Assassin's Creed 3, because that game handled its system quite well. Each recruit had a unique backstory and purpose, making them feel like real people, not just side characters. For example, Stéphane Chapeau, a French butcher, joins after we help him fight off British tax collectors. Duncan Little becomes a bodyguard. Clipper Wilkinson teaches sniping. Jacob Zenga provides stealth skills. Jamie Colley uses ambush tactics. And Deborah Carter shows how to lure enemies effectively. This diverse cast of characters made the recruit system in AC3 so strong. And I hope Shadows takes a similar approach, where we truly get to know the shinobi recruits. Brotherhood's recruit system was good, but the assassins were pretty generic, just some random NPCs picked up from the streets. Revelation's system was somewhat similar to AC3, but less in depth. You'd recruit someone after a brief 1 or 2 minute mission, and that was quite literally it. AC3 still shines as the best. Syndicate, Odyssey and Valhalla's recruit systems felt more like gimmicks rather than true recruit systems. Since Odyssey and Valhalla are RPG games, so is Shadows, and I really hope the recruit system in Shadows is not like those two games. But since this is more of an Assassins vs Templar game, I'm optimistic it will resemble the older games. One more thing I want to touch on. Ubisoft seems hesitant to call the Brotherhood in Shadows assassins. Instead, they use terms like shinobi and league, which is a bit strange. Throughout the series, the assassins have not always been called assassins, so maybe this is just another instance where they go by a different name during this time period. Now, another pretty recent piece of news in regards to Assassin's Creed Shadows is the return of double assassinations. So recently, Ubisoft put out a blog that discusses the evolution of stealth in the series from Assassin's Creed 1 to the more recent game. It's a pretty lengthy read, so I'll leave a link to it in the description if you want to read it for yourself. And at one point in this blog, they confirmed that Naoe will indeed be able to double assassinate enemies using her hidden blade and tanto, taking out 2 enemies at once in different ways depending on her weapons. Now, this marks a return to a more traditional style of gameplay that I'm pretty sure a lot of people have been missing for years. The last time we saw the classic double assassination was in Assassin's Creed Syndicate back in 2015, which funnily enough is also a game developed by Ubisoft Quebec. I would have said Valhalla, but that doesn't count. I mean, assassinating one enemy and being able to throw your axe at another enemy is definitely not a double assassination. Now, while it is a bit strange why Ubisoft decided to reintroduce double assassinations now, I guess it's them once again attempting to reconnect with the series' roots. Okay, so now that I've discussed the return of assassin recruits and also the double assassination, let's talk a bit about the marketing for Shadows and the lack of it. Well, now that Star Wars Outlaws has been released, I do believe the marketing for Assassin's Creed Shadows is going to kick off. I think it's pretty clear that Ubisoft has been unusually quiet about Shadows so far. No major previews, no gameplay footage, just a few developer talk videos with short clips sprinkled in. This has been pretty surprising, especially since we don't even know some of the basics yet, like how armor sets work, what the skill progression looks like, the map exploration, or most importantly to me, how the story will unfold. Normally we would have way more information by now, especially for a big release like this. In the past, Ubisoft has marketed multiple major games close to each other. For example, Watch Dogs Legion and Assassin's Creed Valhalla launched a few days from each other, and we had a lot more details for both games ahead of time. The fact that Assassin's Creed Shadows has had so little promotion suggests they were holding back to give Star Wars Outlaws some more time to shine. Now that Outlaws is out, it makes sense for Ubisoft to shift their focus and start ramping up marketing for Shadows. They probably did not want the two games to compete for attention and decided to let Outlaws have its moment before turning the spotlight on Shadows. So yeah, I expect we'll start seeing a lot more of Shadows. Trailers, gameplay and more in-depth looks at its features. There's still plenty of time before Shadows releases in November, so I do think we'll see a big marketing push in the coming weeks, especially with October being right around the corner. Also, let's not sugarcoat it, Ubisoft needs Assassin's Creed Shadows to succeed, because the stakes could not be higher for them right now. Their stock has taken a nosedive, dropping to its lowest point in 10 years after the lukewarm release of Star Wars Outlaws. They've gone from around €100 per share back in their peak to just about €15 now. That's a massive loss in value, and it's pretty clear that they're feeling the pressure. The reality is, Ubisoft has not had a major hit in quite a while. Valhalla was their last big success, but since then they struggled to release anything that's captured the market. To be fair, Star Wars Outlaws was supposed to be a big win for them, but it hasn't met expectations. Now it feels like Shadows is their last chance to turn things around this year. If Shadows does not perform well, it could be really bad news for Ubisoft. They're banking on it to make up for their recent disappointments and help stabilize their financial situation. If it doesn't, we might see them become even more aggressive with monetization. Things like more expensive DLC, in-game purchases, or even subscription models to keep the revenue flowing. If this game does not do well sales-wise, it could be a serious blow, and they might not get another chance like this to bounce back. So Ubisoft, I would say don't let me down, but given that your last incredible and widely loved game was probably Far Cry 4 back in 2014, I don't know, just don't fuck it up, I guess.